You are listening to Thank Me for My Cervix, a podcast where we talk about all things mental health with a focus in the veteran and the military community. I apologize for the late start today. I was at the salon. Her hair looks fabulous, looks so good, but it took longer than I anticipated. So, a little late of a start today. But a few reminders before we get our guest on today. We are on Instagram Live. That's where you can watch all the episodes live. We're also on Spotify, and we have replays of the lives on YouTube. And as always, we have shirts through Left Foot, Right Foot. Veteran Company is 100%, donates 100% of profits. Okay, today is like, my tongue needs to work. It's gonna happen today. 100% proceeds donated to veterans in need. Not hard, Shauna. Cheese and rice. But something I've been forgetting to tell you guys is that you can use code TM4MC at checkout for free shipping. So make sure to be doing that. Also, more news that we have, I now have an Amazon shop. And what's particularly exciting about that is that there's a whole section that I've dedicated to podcasting equipment. So you can go there, check out what podcast equipment I use. There's also a fashion and clothing. There's like a hair care, nail care type things. Check it out. The link is in my bio. As always, Luna, stop messing things up. And also, I am scheduling more interviews for March. If you have something that you want to talk about on this platform, please join me. Just DM me. We can get you set up on the schedule. I'm looking mid-March right now, and I typically schedule interviews on either Tuesdays, Thursdays, Saturdays, or Sundays, depending on mine and the veteran's schedule, and also my other 4 jobs that I have. So, without further ado, I just saw that she joined, so I'm actually a little bit scared to say your name, because TeLaura, is that right? TeLaura? I'm sorry, but my beautiful guest today is going to come on and correct me on how to say her name. She's an Air Force medic and also an instructor, so we actually met through Aubrey. I'm super excited to talk about her and all of that. So as soon as she requests to join, I will get her on. Yay! My hair is crazy.
Hi.
Hey, thank you so much for taking the time to join me today.
Yeah, I'm so excited. Can you hear me all right?
Yeah, I can hear you great. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Sometimes
Perfect.
the audio skips a little bit in the beginning.
Yeah.
It's just the easiest way to do this. But thank you again. So how do you pronounce your first name?
You said it right. TeLaura. Yeah.
Not that it's hard, but
it's really TeLaura with like a T-E in front of it. It just looks
yeah. I mean, it's a gorgeous name though when you pronounce it, but looking at it, you're like, that's a familiar name with T-E in front of it.
Yeah.
I got this. No, I love that. Awesome.
Thank you.
So let's get right started into it. Tell me a little bit about growing up, why you chose the Air Force, just a little bit about you.
All right. So I'm originally from Wisconsin.
Oh.
I joined the military in the Navy. So all of my MEPS paperwork for my physical says Navy on it. Cause I was like, I want to be a Navy corpsman, ships over like flying. Like I thought I was more cool with that. But I actually joined the Navy. I went to college for a year, and then I actually was in a long-term relationship with my current partner. Through high school into college, we broke up. It was a bad breakup. I was a mess. So I'm like, I'm going to join the military. I wasn't doing well in college because I just wasn't like paying attention.
I hate college. I hate school. I don't learn like that.
Yeah, totally hate it. And the funny part is, like, I joined the military and was like, screw college, I'm not doing it. And then here I am with my bachelor's degree now.
Yeah. But what's great about the military is that they pay for that. Yeah. So what I hate about college mostly is these poor kids, students coming right out of high school are trying to pay for this. Yeah. They're sitting in classes that they probably hate. Yeah. Don't even care about because half the time it doesn't even go towards your degree. You're doing all this extra stuff. Yeah, don't get me, I could rant on that forever. Okay. Yeah,
no, for sure. And like oh my God, I still have student loans that I'm paying off.
I bet.
Like it's ridiculous. And I've been in 8 years now and I'm still paying on my student loans. So I can't imagine someone who had like triple or quadruple the student loans that I have, because I'm like, Yeah, it was just insane. But yeah, so I went to college, was like not doing well, not making good decisions. So I'm like, I'm gonna join the Navy. I got two METs, talked to Air Force a few times, and was like, I joined the wrong branch. My recruiter was so mad. I like called him and he was like, I'm not coming to get you then. And I was like 3 hours from home. Yes, I was 3 hours from home. And this recruiter was like, never mind, I'm not coming to get you then, which I understood. He was like really mad. But I called the Air Force recruiter next door and he came and sent me like a private car and like picked me up and like fixed all my paperwork. And yeah, so I joined the Air Force as a medic. Yeah.
Obviously,
Yeah.
no brainer.
And it was open too. Like I didn't pick a job.
Okay.
Basic, I got assigned at boot camp or basic training. I got assigned medic, and I was like, okay, cool. I was going to school for nursing, so yeah,
that's super cool. Where is the Air Force? I literally just talked to Aubrey about this, and I already forget. I'm so bad. Where is your guys' boot camp again?
Here in San Antonio, Lackland, where I was stationed for 6 years.
Oh, nice. Yeah. Okay, so your first job was a medic. Are you still in?
Yeah.
You're still Air Force?
Yeah.
And now you instruct with Aubrey, those types of things?
Yeah. I love her. She is wonderful. She's like the best instructor, and she just a good mom, like a wonderful mom. And
I don't know how she does it. She's just a genuinely good person, and it reflects in all that she does. And I love that that's kind of what I'm getting from you as well. I love that this platform brings us all together, because I would have never known of her if she didn't follow or if she didn't respond back because I had a podcast. We're such a small community, and I love that this kind of gives us this opportunity to talk about it. And now I get to learn about your job.
Yes.
And that's exciting.
For sure. The military in general, I feel like, is awesome with that, because like we learn about all the different branches, and like we all like, we joke with each other and we're like, oh, we're better than you, and it's like an ongoing thing. But like all in all, we all support each other, and we're like all a family regardless. And that's why we can give each other crap about it, I feel like. Mm-hmm. But I love that.
We all just getting to ultimately have the same goal.
Yes.
It is. They said the word brotherhood gets thrown around a lot. And it's, sisterhood. But what I will say is, in the military, in the Marine Corps specifically, because there's not as many females, and we are initially, when you meet another female Marine, you're either like, oh, that's my girl, or like it's a comparison competition thing. And I feel like that's so common in every aspect of life. This isn't just the Marine Corps. But what I was getting to is the veteran community, now that I'm out, and the struggles that I have gone through kind of made it even easier to relate to other veterans that had gotten out, other mothers, and mothers who are still in, that I can like not relate to, because I didn't have to do that, but sympathize. Yeah. Being like, you are doing the hard job of being in the military, because that's a job, it's hard. But being a parent is its sole job by its own too, and it's lonely. Yeah. So it being able to find those two balancing, I love that. Yeah. So tell me a little bit about what your day-to-day would look like. So you're an instructor for medic. Yeah. So I instruct. So pretty much I get up early with my daughter. She's still waking up like 3 times a night. How 6 in a few days? She's a toddler? Little. She's still, technically still like an infant. It's 6 months, I think. She's like babbling, and it's I love it. But I get up with her like 3 times a night. My boyfriend's great. He gets up with her too. Yeah. He's home with her right now. So I was scared of daycare. It's first time mom thing. I don't know what it was, but daycare freaked me out. He's going to school, so he's like, I'll just stay home with her. I'm like, thank you. And I get up early, go into work, and pretty much just teach. I lecture. Depending, I like counsel students if they like fail tests and stuff. So it's a cool job. I'm with students regardless, and like making an impact, and it's fun. And I do that for my 8 hours, come home, and then switch into mom mode, where I'm doing washing bottles, which he does a lot too, but washing bottles, getting her ready for bedtime. And I get like an hour and a half with her, and it's horrible. I was actually just talking to my hair client about that today, because right now my schedule is so weird that I feel like during the day when the boys are in school, I have nothing to do. So I'm like sitting around, like cleaning the house, doing whatever. And then they come home and I have to work and do all this stuff. And I'm like, man, I wish that I could just be mom to them 24/7. Yeah. But you have to balance, especially in today's economy with so your husband's in school. I'm not going to assume that he's a spouse. Was he in the Air Force or anything too? He's guard. Okay. He's guard in Wisconsin right now. So he makes trips up to do his drill, which kind of sucks, but
I mean, our daughter was unplanned, so we didn't actually anticipate to have a kid. And we were like living in separate states, and we just started seeing each other again. So it was like a really weird time. Like I had just gotten divorced, but we've known each other 10 years. I mean, longer than that. We started dating in high school. So since I was 16, we've known each
Wow.
other. And we've been friends since we broke up in college. It was a little rocky, but we've been friends. And now we started seeing each other. And then our daughter Vivian happened, and we ended up like rekindling. And we've probably been the most stable I've
Aw,
been in any.
I love that. Some things are just meant to be, whether you want it or not. And that kind of seems like one of those situations.
I will die
Well,
on
that's
the
really
hill that things are supposed to happen the way they happen. Like now, after all this, like I was like, I'll die on that hill. I was married 3 years almost. Like I will die on that hill because something that meant to happen like happened, and our daughter's wonderful, and he's like the best dad. So it worked out great.
yeah.
But then it changed into like we had to just automatically start living together and have a daughter, and I'm
Oh
acting
yeah.
and he's regards. So it like trying to like balance that and newly living together and new to parenthood, like it was like a whirlwind. Our families, I don't know what we would have done without them. Now we're living opposite side of the country,
Yeah.
like away from our families. So we've like really had to figure things out, and like yeah, it's been kind of a whirlwind, but it's been awesome.
So you said that he's like a reservist right now? Okay.
Yeah.
That's nice because when it comes to transitioning out, I feel like people who do that have a slower kind of push.
Yeah.
Have you seen
No,
have you noticed any difference in him since transitioning like that, even just that?
I mean, kind of like, well, it's really good for me to know that when I'm getting out that he's gonna be able to like put her under his TRICARE and stuff, because we're not married yet, and I mean at some point probably, but we're not married now. And like if for some reason I'm in the middle of like a med board right now actually to
Okay.
medically retire, so hopefully if I medically retire or separate, we'll see. But at least I know she's got backup, like be under his TRICARE reserve plan. And that's like what I'm most concerned with transitioning. And there just isn't much help transitioning. Like if I'm gonna be flat out honest, like it's been
No.
easier transitioning into motherhood in the military than worrying about transitioning out of the military, not being a mom or not, like whether I'm a mom or not. Like the transition's scary, and it's just made scarier when you feel like you don't have not support, but like the resources. They're like, here's resources, do your research. Okay, what research? Like I don't know, it's just
I feel
frustrating.
like everybody's minds, when you're EASing, they're so occupied with just wanting to get out or wanting that next chapter that you're so focused on what's next that you're not focused on how to get to next. Yeah. So you're just like, I don't care.
Yeah.
And I don't care. I can't think about the future right now. All I care about is like right now, and I want out. And that's not always necessarily the case, because you can have loved your time in the Marine Corps or the military, and when it comes time to get out, you're like, oh man, I'm so hesitant on getting out. But still, like you said, those resources, if you're hesitant on getting out, you're definitely not giving a crap about those resources, because you're not even sure if they're going to apply to you or not.
Yep. And when I went to TAPS, most of my TAPS was look at how expensive all this stuff is outside of the military and what you're getting benefits in wise. And I'm like, this is supposed to help me get out, not try to like make me stay in. But I'm so ready to get out that it didn't even like bother me. I was like, I expected this, and like all that. And now with like my med board stuff, my separation is July of this year. I may still be in my med board and I can't get out. They'll put me on like a med hold. So I'm like, don't know my ETS technically when I'm going to get out. So that is like giving me anxiety, and it's hard. I mean, I'd rather medically retire and get the benefits of that and stay and do that than just be like, never mind, just separate me. Like,
yeah, just get me out. Yeah, no. They want you to. And I hate that. The VA still, they want you to quit. They want you to be like, oh my God, I've been fighting this for 3 years and I can't do this anymore.
Yeah.
And then you'll quit, or just be like, okay, well, I'm 70%. I have migraines every single day of my life and they won't notify them, but at least I'm 70%. That's good, right? No,
Yeah.
No. You need to get what's yours, what's right. If you are not able to work, you need those benefits. There's so much that comes with, it's not even just like the money. It's 100% disabled. You get insurance. Your family's covered in insurance. For me, if I were to get 100%, because I live in the middle of nowhere, I don't, but for some reason, when it comes to the VA, I live in the middle of nowhere. So I would have access to the base hospitals instead of having to drive 2.5 hours to Greenville, to the whatever.
Yeah.
You know, it's like people think like you're fighting for these benefits so that you can get money and live off disability. No, I'm fighting because I want what I earned by my time in the military, and I have that stuff I'm still learning about.
Yeah.
Because they didn't want to tell me about it. So.
Yep.
And that's why I like this platform, because I've learned so much.
Mm-hmm.
So much.
I believe it. Like, you don't learn any of this, I feel like, till you get out, and it's either too late or you have to kind of like go through loops, whatever, to kind of get whatever you is like whatever you should be deserved, basically. Yeah. So it is kind of frustrating. And the thing I'm really concerned with is not only like my daughter getting care outside of this, but I have stuff I'm still seen for that I cannot just stop being seen for. Like, I got in that car accident I told you about. I hit a semi like 4 years ago. I had 7 hospital visits. I got a blood infection and was running like 106-degree fevers for 3 weeks. And they couldn't figure out what it was. And like my split open, I had 3 blood transfusions. Like, I went through it. I have a plate and 8 screws in my knee. Like, I need my knee injections. I need my like my pain management stuff. I get like
Unfortunately, you're probably gonna need help for the rest of your life.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And were you in when that accident happened?
I was on my way to work too. So technically it is considered, like, even though I wasn't like on duty, though I was in the military still, and anything like happens, as long as it like wasn't me being like negligent, it should be covered.
I actually broke my wrists snowboarding, but it was like fun day, like mandatory fun day. So I wasn't in like camis or anything, but I was in the Marine Corps with Marine people doing Marine Corps stuff, and I broke my wrist. So they ended up it was service connected. So
yeah, it's awesome how that works. Yeah, no, it really, like, I even tell like my students, I'm like, make sure you get stuff written. Like, if you're getting migraines and stuff like that, like, make sure you get seen for that and get it like in your medical record, because they need like proof that stuff.
I say it often, and I'm gonna say it on every opportunity that I get, because that's what people aren't being told when they're in, is that you need a paper trail.
Yes. And
the military tells you to suck it up, suck it up, suck it up, suck it up, so you don't go get that paper trail, and you're not getting the benefits that you need when you get out. It's like a vicious, loopy circle that I hate. Go to medical. Be whiny. I don't care.
Yep.
The greatest gift I ever gave myself was to stop caring what anyone thinks about me. Because at the end of the day, who was looking out for me? Only me. Only me. And that's fine. You know, I have friends, I have families, I understand that. But I can't care what they think. Because if I do, then that is not being true to who I am and doing what I need. So I tell people all the time, the biggest gift you can give to yourself is to not give a crap what anyone else has to say about you or what you're doing, because ultimately it doesn't matter.
Yep, you got to take care of yourself, because you're going to be the only one looking out for you. And I mean, I've been blessed in the military to have leadership that really looked out for me, especially after my accident. I had a lot. They visited me in the hospital and brought me food, and they were great. And like, I was blessed with that in that aspect. But at the same time, like, I still now, once all that like blew over, I then had to kind of start fending for myself a little bit and be like, I need appointments. I need to see mental health. I need to see, like, I need to go get seen for my knee. And I get like 2 days off after that, because I can barely walk after my knee injection. So like, I felt guilty in one aspect, being like, dang, I need time off for this stuff. But my health is number one to me. The military, very high. I mean, they're very important to me, but also like, I got to look out for myself. Absolutely. Like you said, like,
what I will say about like caring about yourself first is that gives you the ability to be able to be kind and care for others. Like when I say I don't care what other people think of me, that I still genuinely care about them as a person. Yeah. I care about how they feel about themselves, but how they necessarily feel about me and what I'm doing, I don't care. Yeah. But I want you to love who you are and be proud of what you're doing.
Yes.
And if you can get that by watching me do that, great. You know
what I mean? Yeah. No.
Awesome. Okay. So yeah, wow, we're like flying through. Well, we're like jumping all around. That's how my things always go. So being a new mother when in the Air Force, how much time do you guys get off after giving
A
childbirth?
lot. So now I think it was, if I remember correctly, it's 16 weeks now. Because you get like, it used to be like 12, and then now you get like 4 more for healing. So you get like
Yep.
the 4 for like healing afterward. Which honestly for C-section, I feel like should maybe be a little bit longer because they're recovering from like a massive surgery. I didn't have a C-section, but I've seen what people have gone through with that. Maybe that may take a little. I had surgeries. I know how long it takes to recover mentally and physically from surgeries, but it's about 16 weeks now. So I got like a solid 4-ish months with my daughter, which in is very, very nice.
Yeah.
However, in the real world, she was still so small when I left. Like it was still like, you see all these other countries that get like a year and stuff. And I'm not saying we should get that like all the time, but it was, she still was really small when I left, and it was hard. And if you're in the middle of like breastfeeding or pumping, like that transition was rough. Finding time and like finding time to like, that was the hardest part, was finding time to like pump at work. And it's not that I'm not offered the time. I just kind of have to make it in my schedule. Mm-hmm. It's a lot. And like pouring water all day and like stuff like that. It's a lot when it comes to like motherhood and going back to work.
Right. And what people don't realize about transitioning to bottle feeding versus breastfeeding as well, because when you're home with the baby, you really don't introduce the bottle very much because you have access. So, and that's kind of bonding moment. There's so much benefits to breastfeeding. If you can't, there's nothing wrong with it. I'm not shaming people who need to bottle feed. This is just for knowledge. But once you introduce that bottle, because it is easier for the baby to drink out of, you will start to lose that time with them because they would rather take the bottle than to the breast. So now that affects your time. And it's, as a mother who breastfed, I can specifically remember those moments of what it was like having my child feed off of me. It's I can't even explain it, honestly. It's like a next level connection. Yeah. And when you are forced to go back to work and you introduce a bottle, sometimes the baby will want that bottle only.
Yes.
And now you
almost ruins the, like, they get more upset, I guess, when you're like breastfeeding them now, because they're like, what the heck? I went from like a 2 nipple where it's like just going straight into my mouth now, and now I have to actually try.
Yes.
So like, she doesn't feed as much. She'll drink like 6 ounces on the bottle and drink like 2 ounces off me and be hungry in like an hour. I'm like, this is insane. It almost discouraged me, and I'm sticking to it, but I almost was like, let's just switch to straight bottle. But I still want that bond, and I'm gonna make it work.
I know. My first, I did really good. I breastfed my first for the first year and a half, but I was home and I was taking care of him. My second, well, he was just really, really chunky. But even from the beginning, I just wasn't producing enough milk. Yeah. So because I wasn't producing enough milk, I thought that I would supplement with formula whenever he wasn't getting enough. But by doing that, because I didn't know, the bottle was so much easier. So he was like, I'm not even going to try the boob, bro. Yep. No. So.
For sure.
With the parents staying home for so long, I can understand how by doing that, if a woman gets pregnant, so you hire a woman and she's not pregnant, and then she gets pregnant while you work with her. She's still working through her pregnancy. It's great. But then now you have to replace this woman, probably keep her on for the whole year that she is off. And I can get how from like a job standpoint that's you're crazy for even asking. How are you going to ask that? But then when you think about it from a mother's perspective, it's like, how are you expecting me not to work just because I'm pregnant right now? But then when the baby comes, to still not be working, it's such a hard balance to find.
The economy is like rough right now, so you have to work. Like, you have to have an income. I don't know how people stay at home unless they're making like 6 figures or their spouse is making 6 figures, because we like did the math and stuff, and if I get my good VA disability, I should be fine to stay home with her for a while, but I'll have to get a job at some point. We both will work. Like, it's almost impossible to not have a job, but then you feel guilty being like, here's a whole year I need off and you have to pay me and keep my spot, and you are low manned maybe, and like it.
But if you want to go back to work, you'll have to pay someone to watch your baby.
Lot too, depending on how old they are. Like the younger babies, I think we looked at an off-base daycare. Thank God for on-base daycare if we'd used it, because it was like, for me being like single, not married, it was like $500 a month for a baby under 6 months. We looked outside and it was like $1,500 a month, and I was like, I don't even know how we would afford that. Like, I just don't even know how that would work. Like, even
Who's
with
affording this? Like,
expenses.
who's affording this? Share the wealth, because this is not possible.
But also, like, my sister's a daycare worker, and like they have to get paid too. They're watching your kid all day,
And
and
it
we
sucks,
have
dude. That job sucks. I would not want to watch other people's kids. I'm sorry.
no.
They're little turds. They are the biggest turds. Honestly, I feel bad for someone watching my kids.
Yeah.
My kids are turds.
Yeah, I know.
Seriously. So me being home, like, for free and having to watch them, like, yeah, okay, I get it. That's kind of my karma. But like having to pay somebody else to be through that torture, no, I'll pass.
Yeah. Oh no, for sure.
So you're not transitioning out yet, though.
Nope, not
Are
until
you?
about July. So I'm doing like the TAPS, the transition assistance. We're looking at like that final move cost and all that type of stuff. But now with this med board thrown in, I'm like, we really don't know when I'm separating.
Yeah.
It'll be here. We're trying to like plan stuff, but at the same time, like we can't, and that's like scary to me. I'm a planner. I'm like a psycho.
Me too.
And
If you're planning on joining the military, any military branch, and you're a planner, just be prepared to have the most anxiety-ridden time of your life.
Oh, for sure. Oh my gosh, I can't even think of how many.
I'll give you like these set plans. I'll be like, this is the plan, and then like that day of the plan, they're like, just kidding.
Yeah.
You're like, I planned for this. This is what needs to happen.
Yeah, here's my holiday leave. Just kidding. Can't take it.
Oh my god. Planning to do anything, even having a baby.
Yeah.
When you're in because my ex, I wasn't in. Oh no, I wasn't. I was on IR. I was like getting ready to get out, and my ex-husband was deployed. And
okay.
And unfortunately, that's such a common story. But luckily, he was back for both of them. So.
Oh, that is. Oh my gosh, I can't imagine. Women are so tough for doing that. Like
I know.
by themselves, like single moms and just moms whose spouses are deployed and they have to like give birth on their own. Like that, those first like few nights, like they're just gone. I don't even remember them.
No, me neither. Oh my god, I don't remember leaving the hospital. Like that whole first week, it feels like you're in a fog. Like it didn't even happen. And then you go home and like you wake up the next day and you're like, oh crap, there's a baby I have to take care of.
It's so funny. My boyfriend and I were just talking about that the other day, and we were talking about like more kids at some point, and he just was like, yeah, the first like during this time, this and this and this, and I was like, I don't remember any of that.
I know.
Like trauma, like gone, because like birth trauma. I feel like every birth is a little traumatic. And
no, yeah,
of everything, and yeah, I was like, I don't remember that. I feel bad. I don't remember the birth of my daughter, but I'm kind of glad.
I remember like bits and pieces, like a bad nightmare. Honestly, it is traumatic. And like it's crazy that it's something that women just go through. Like, oh, women have been having babies forever, so it's fine. And you're like, no, this shit was traumatizing. I like something came out of my body that I carried in it for forever.
One way or
so yeah,
it came out of your body, and there's gonna be a healing process. And I know exactly what you mean. It's definitely, I don't know. That was one thing too that I noticed, and I'm sure it's been spoken about a lot, but postpartum education, horrible. It made me want to go to nursing school to get so I could like maybe hold classes for postpartum, like get hired by hospitals and start like my own group and do like postpartum education. But we got a video that was like from the 60s, and I was like, what is this? It was literally a VHS tape put in, and they're like, watch this. And we were like laughing at it. We were like, this is ridiculous. We didn't even barely watch it. And I'm like, that was scary. No one talked about breastfeeding and how horrible it is the first 2 weeks and painful, and you almost want to quit. Like
that's because they make money off of formula. So they're not going to encourage breastfeeding to the extent that they should be, because then they'll be losing money in the formula market. Women go through, like, when you look, even on our periods, the amount of like hormones that get pushed in our body that go through, in, out, and that's just on our period.
Yeah.
When we have a child, the lack of hormones, the rush of hormones, all the different things, the extreme pain that you went through, then wait, I'm not in pain. That was normal. Was it normal? I don't know. It's crazy. And we're just like, it's fine. Females do it all the time.
Yeah.
That doesn't matter. People also, hurt themselves all the time. And we're trying to fix this. That's what our goal is to make this not, easier to deal with. There's so much about after having a child that you don't know until after, and it's almost like taboo to talk about. And I hate
Yeah.
that. I really don't like that.
Yeah, it's crazy too, because like I've met women who have said, like I said, I didn't have a C-section, but I met women who after they had their C-section were given like Tylenol or ibuprofen, and then when men get a vasectomy they get narcotics, and I'm like, we went through literally, like, depending on how big I guess they had to make the incision, like they went through,
regardless, you're still pulling a human out of a little hole.
I've had little laparoscopic surgeries with like small, and I hurt really bad after. I can't imagine having a baby pulled out of like an actual hole in my stomach. Like, that is insane to me. And they got like Tylenol partially because if they're breastfeeding, they didn't want to take narcotics, but that was what was like offered to them. And I'm my pain tolerance is terrible. So I would be like, no, like I'd probably pump, and I don't know what I do. Honestly, that's so tough. Women who get C-sections are tough. Women who have
my mom had a C-section with me, and then had a vaginal birth after with my sister, which was after me.
Yeah.
And that's like very uncommon, I guess. To once you have one C-section, you usually have to have multiple. So blessing, curse, not sure. Do you know that I did not know that you have to deliver your placenta after you have a baby until they were like, okay, keep pushing. I'm like, the like, baby's out.
Is there a second one? You're like, what?
Yeah, you have to deliver your placenta just like you delivered your baby.
Yes.
And I'm sorry for women who didn't know that prior to watching this. But I saved you. I saved you because I found out in the moment. It was horrifying.
That is so funny. I was so upset because I like wanted to see mine, because I've never seen it in person, but like I teach about them. I wanted to see what it looked like in person, and I was like, dang. Like my boyfriend, they brought him over to it, and they let him put like gloves on and like touch him. Like, ew, that's gross. But I wanted to just see it. Like, I was just very curious, but it all was like so fast that
it's like a blur. Yeah. And I'm sure it's because for them it is so routine.
Yes.
And when something's treated so routine, but it is traumatizing to you, sometimes it feels like, do I have the right to feel this way? Because this is so routine for them, but this is like crazy.
Yes. No, for sure. If there's one thing I've learned about pain though, most things that are like extremely painful to that like extent, you forget about it. Like even my accident, I was in so much pain. I can barely, and they said that is kind of, that comes with like post-traumatic stress disorder from like experiencing a traumatic incident or traumatic accident. But I don't remember my hospital stays. All I remember is how traumatic they were, but I don't remember the things that like what happened in them. I remember being in a ton of pain. I can't remember what that pain feels like.
Yeah. Oh,
I can't remember if it's our which. Like people are like, oh, tell me about your accident. And I'm like, there were 7 visits. That's what I remember. I don't remember which ones were which. And like, it's very odd that you like, you almost dissociate with pain. And whether you have a kid or any sort of like injury or surgery, like you really like dissociate with that. It's very odd. It's maybe your body's way of helping you like get through it.
Yeah.
Or kids, they want you to have more kids. So your body's like,
forget about that. Didn't happen. That was great.
Forget about birth because you want another one.
There's even parts of their like, so your baby's super new, but mine are 7 and 8, and there are parts of their childhood where I remember being so stressed out about the littlest tiny things. Like when my son was 2, he wasn't talking much, and every doctor was like, oh, like it was made to be such a big deal that he wasn't talking. And I remember in that moment being like, is he ever gonna talk? Is something wrong with him? Like being like sad. I'm telling you right now he doesn't shut up. Like, and now I can't even remember a time where he wasn't talking. And I'm like, can I have 5 minutes where you're not talking? So I just feel like even some events in life, sometimes in that moment, they feel like so much. And you're like, oh my God, what am I going to do? And then like now you look back at it and you're like, that didn't even matter.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Yeah.
When you're teaching, so let's go a little bit into the trauma aspect that we kind of talked about. When you're teaching to students, because sometimes it's gory and sometimes it's traumatizing stuff that you're teaching these people. Like tell me a little bit about how you help them through that. What kind of advice you give?
Yeah, I've actually, it's funny you said that because I just talked to my therapist about that. I was like, sometimes teaching like the trauma injuries toward the end of the chapters tends to get a little bit, like I get a little shaky about it. and I don't mind teaching it because I have stories that help them like relate and remember the information. They always thank me. They're like, I remembered all the information because of the stories you told me. And like I said, I can't remember some of them, but like some of them are still very like vivid to me. And I just associate my accident and give them examples, not only for EMT stuff, but for, again, if you guys are hurt, make sure you get this. Like we got a bill one time. I don't know if you knew this, but like TRICARE, when you get in like accidents like that, they will send you the bill. So like an ambulance service or whatever will send you the bill and show you what TRICARE paid off. We had over $500,000 of hospital bills had I not been in the military and covered by TRICARE. I cannot imagine someone going through what I went through, trying to heal, get over all like the mental aspects and pay that bill at the same time. So you're not financially burdened, physically burdened. Like that is where people like hurt themselves.
I know.
Can't live, and because they're just are, so it's just crazy. But I associate that for my students. Sorry, I went on a tangent, but
no, I love tangents.
Like with my students, and I'm like, take care of yourself, and also this is how it relates to, and that's one of the reasons I'm kind of, I think, getting med boarded is I can do my job. However, it's a little, some days I can't stand for the 8 hours I'm supposed to be. That's what the waiver is supposed to be for you to be an instructor. It says on it, no speech impediment and can stand. And I can't do CPR on the ground on my knee anymore. Like, it's just kind of messy. And I feel like I am almost more of a burden to the military. That sounds bad, but then I am like actually helping the military.
I doubt that's true. But I'm sure if someone who as remarkable as you feels that way, that's a common feeling.
Yeah.
That if an injury doesn't define your abilities, even if your job is in the military where you're known to be physically fit and gung-ho and doing all this stuff, if you are in a position where your body doesn't allow that, but you're still giving your all, which is very obvious that you are, you're still an asset and you're still needed. And the military is very easy to be like, you're just a number, we'll replace you, whatever. But as long as you know in yourself that you're giving it your all, then that's all that matters. And that you're still needed. Yeah. You know, and I'm sure, especially as like a job as your instructor, I'm sure that you're still very much needed, even if you can't get on the ground to do CPR or things like that. But that feeling that you get that you're like, oh, I can't do this one little thing, I'm sure that it's so common, and I wish that we could broadcast to everybody that like that doesn't define you.
Yeah.
It's just one thing you can't do, and that you're still very much needed.
Yeah.
In every aspect of life.
Yeah.
And that your physical abilities aren't the only use that you have.
And maybe all like an internal feeling, because I don't feel like anybody makes me feel like that. That's the thing. Like, my leadership's wonderful. People I work with are great and supportive, and they'll be like, I'll do the CPR, I'll demo it for you so you don't have to get on the ground. Like, they're so great.
That
Internal. It's like, I should be able to do all that stuff, and I can't because of, and it's not stuff that's ever going to heal. Like, my plate will always be in my knee and gets like, and hurt. And my side where my liver like broke open basically is always going to hurt. Like, I'm not going to be able to get past that. And that's why I kind of said to my doctor, I'm like, I don't think I'm as much of an asset as I could be. Mm-hmm. So maybe I am like an asset. I do teach a lot. Like, my students like me, I like to think, and I do a good job instructing. I take my job very seriously, but maybe there's certain aspects when it comes to safety stuff. Yeah. If you're back in a clinic and I need to do CPR and stuff, yes, of course I do it, and I do it well. But because like, what's the word I'm looking for? At the expense of myself.
Yeah.
And I could do it. And that's where I'm like, I think I've done my 8 years. I've served enough time. I'm just tired, I guess, and I'm ready to be home with my kid. And I'm like,
I can't imagine.
The weirdest part, and I don't know like if a lot of women experience this, but like after you have a kid, I was a career woman. I was like, I will never give up my career for a kid. I may be in the military 20 years. We'll see. I had a baby and out the window. I'm like, home with my daughter. I don't trust people taking care of her. My boyfriend's great, but I don't like daycares. I'm too scared. I'm just, like I said, it's a new mom thing, I think. I know daycares would be fine, but it just was.
I don't blame you at all. I really don't. There's too many horror stories. What I will say is, because I talked about this a little bit on the podcast too before, being in the military, what that takes away from you is us moving away from our families, because a lot of people have the support of their families that can watch their kids, because you know your mom's going to do a good job watching your your daughter. Like, she loves that thing probably more than she loves you. You know that. And then, so I feel like when we move in the military so much and you get that ripped away, because actually Aubrey and I talked about that a little bit, it's difficult because you don't have the support, not even just for yourself, but for this little human that you're raising.
Mm-hmm.
So it is
And it's
difficult to find that.
You feel almost guilty because you're like, am I not letting them like be around their family? Like that was a discussion we had to have because I was like, what's more important? But I'm like, the stability of the military or being closer to family, like those are two huge things. Like figuring out which one's more important is scary because like family is really important, but like stability of the military, it is pretty stable paychecks. Like deployment of course is in there in the mix, but like that's like the scary part. Like I've hated being away from my family. I have two little nephews. I'm like, one of them's my godson, and I haven't gotten to see either of them really grow up over FaceTime, Facebook, and they don't get to really know my daughter. So
Exactly.
that's what pushed me to get out in July a lot more, is being closer to family. But then I'm scared because I'm like, the stability and my military family, I'm giving that up.
I know.
Like us and Stripe, we are a family. Like it's just, that's like the hard transitional portion, I think.
Yeah. But what I love about what we're doing here, like us, is we're building this little community of like, yeah, it's scary, but we've all been through it, and here's how I went through it. Here's what I did to help with it. What sucks is that I wish everyone could have the stability of a family stability and financial stability. And unfortunately, a lot of the struggles that not even just military, but a lot of people go through are usually financial problems. Yes. And man, I hate that. I hate that. Because it's man-made. It's an issue that everybody stresses about that we completely made up. It's so weird. It's so weird.
And there are a lot of jobs out there. I mean, I don't know. It's scary seeing how many like veterans are still like on the streets and stuff, because I'm like, were you not like, did nobody, and now I'm witnessing it, did nobody sit down with you and talk to you about transitioning and the programs you have available? And then they end up on the street with no money, and it like makes me sick. And if you don't have a family that can maybe take you in for a bit or support you while you're making that transition, like some people don't have that, and you're kind of screwed. Yeah. Like you don't have anybody, you just go into the streets, you can't pay rent, you can't do anything, and you went from like the stability of everything to no health care maybe, or no
anything. Yeah. And you really don't realize the like, it's not, the military doesn't make much money, but the BAH, or if you're eating at the chow hall, or different things that the military offers, these little things, they add up.
Yes.
Like significantly, and you don't realize it until you're completely out and you're trying to figure out how to get all of these same things. Yeah. I do feel like the transitioning, even if we give information, you could hand some people the world of information, and they just don't have the will or the drive to continue to learn from that anymore. And what I will say is that I hope that we can also change that mindset. Like, you need to do what you need for you, because no one else is going to. So if we give you this information that you need, you have to be willing to put in that work to do it, because it's still a process.
Yes. You need to use that.
So.
And I feel like the military sets you up in that aspect where they kind of teach you, sometimes you have to like teach yourself stuff in the military. I've noticed that taught me that. So where now I'm getting out and they give me information, I know how to use it. And then there are just some people who either don't want to, don't know how, maybe don't. And that's where they end up in like these really bad situations. Like another thing I just have harped on to students lately because of personally for me, like money. Why do they not teach you once you get in the military how to manage these huge paychecks you're getting now? I had originally, not anymore because I've 27 now and I got like better at managing money. They don't teach you about saving the money. They don't teach you about like high yield savings and stuff to make money off of savings and like to have 4 months worth of like rent and bills and all that stuff. So now like when I'm transitioning out, I'm kind of scrambling to save a lot of money. And I'm lucky enough that I can, but like I'm scrambling on that, and I could have been saving for years. And if you weren't taught that in the military, you don't know what to do. You're 19 with this huge paycheck, and you're like, sweet, I can buy a nice car. And that's why you see new buying.
Brand new Camaro.
Yeah, 23% APR, like cars and all of this. And like, I mean, even I have a new car, and I mean, granted, I budget, so I can like afford that stuff. But
Yeah.
as a chairman, I went and bought a new car
Oh,
with a high
absolutely.
APR. I didn't know how it worked.
To this day, I'm terrible with money. And not even just to put that pressure all in the military. Why in high
Yeah.
school are they not teaching us how
Yes.
to do taxes? How to be adults if you're gonna force us to do this when we're grown up? How are you not gonna give us the information to do it properly?
Yes, I see like those memes that are like, thanks for teaching me how to make a chocolate chip cookie and sew, but I really needed to learn how to budget my money and do taxes.
Seriously.
It's so fun. It's so true because it's like everyone experiences that, and it's just it's crazy. Like if I had been educated at 19, 18, even high school about that, I'd probably have so much money right now in my savings. It would be insane, and I wasn't. So I made big purchases, and I am.
Maybe that's why they don't. I was just thinking, like, maybe that's why they don't teach it, because they don't want everybody to be successful,
Yeah.
and they just want people to figure it out.
Yeah.
Mean. That's mean.
So,
I can't figure it out.
so mean, but so smart too. If you're thinking about it from like their perspective, like super smart. But that was one thing I noticed too. Like you're right. It isn't just on the military. It's on like high school too. But there's so much like you don't learn, and then you learn it too late. You're like 30, and you're like, dang, I should have done all of this stuff, and my life would be a little different. But it's a learning thing too.
Absolutely.
Like,
yeah. What I will say too is so I once dated a guy who went to like business management for college, and the stuff that he was learning in that, I was like, we should all be learning this.
Yeah.
Like this should not be just be at college. I should have learned this in high school.
No, for sure.
All right, so we're rounding out the end. So was there anything that you wanted to add or talk about today that we didn't get to touch on that you wanted to add? We covered so much, and thank you.
Yeah.
I'm so grateful. I love these types of conversations.
Yeah.
I could do this all day. So was there anything that you wanted to add?
No, I love your podcast, and I love what you like. I saw Aubrey on it, and then I was kind of like creepy and was like, this is an awesome podcast. Like it talks about really big things, and you have like all these diverse people, like veterans, and you active duty from all those different places. Like that's huge. And because like we don't have enough education out there sometimes, and I think people have ideas of the military that aren't military, and they're like, maybe people are thinking about joining or getting out or whatever, and they don't have support. And like a podcast like this has experiences from multiple people to be able to say like, hey, this person experienced the same thing as you, or just the military isn't exactly what you're anticipating it will be, or maybe it's a good option.
It's exactly what you thought it was. Whatever it is. Yeah, I agree.
I love it.
I love it. I have like different branches reaching out now, because at first I was like reaching out to my Marine friends, and now the Air Force is like, hey, and I got Army, and I'm like just getting everybody. I'm so excited.
Yeah, no, for sure. I think some of my best friends are Navy, so I know people. I don't know as many Marines, but so it's nice like being able to have a conversation, because I don't know that many, especially female Marines. I freaking love that. I love that so much.
I know. Honestly, I joke because I did Air Wing in the Marine Corps. And had I gone back and met people that I know now, I probably would have joined the Air Force. But the Marine Corps made me who I am.
Yeah.
And I'm absolutely grateful for the different experiences that I got.
Yeah.
So
no, for sure. And that's my attitude getting out too, is I'm like ready to get out, but the people I met were absolutely awesome. I have so many, most of my friends are actually Navy that I'm close with. That I tech school with 8 years ago. They are like my favorite people to this day in the world. And like the people you met while in, you will never, ever like forget.
I know.
Be like,
that's why I love social media. Yeah. Because I keep in touch with so many people still. And I'm just like, I'm so grateful to have, like my little community just keeps growing and growing and growing. And I'm just really grateful.
No, for sure. So. Me too.
Well, thank you again. Yeah. I want to, if people want to follow you or support you or whatever, do you want to just give whatever information you have out?
My Instagram is just at TeLaura Harings, first and last name. It's just Laura with a T-E in front of it. Harings is 1 R. Everybody always puts 2 R's. It's fine. But if you want to follow me, if not, it's really cool too. Don't really care. But I see a lot of like my family and friends were on, and at least
I love that.
My mom
is most of the people as of right now, I'm sure it probably will change as I keep growing, but we have a lot of listeners on Spotify. So I love having this because people can like see us and they can go back and watch it, and the views continuously go up. So people are watching even if they're not commenting or liking, so I don't care.
Yeah.
But we do have a lot of listeners on Spotify. So
Awesome.
if that's what people are listening, that's great. I just think this is great because it's so easy. Because now I can just take the audio and present.
It's very like, it's not formal. I love that. It's just kind of open flow conversation. And it's not like we have to talk about this. I just love that. You've done this podcast is awesome. And I'm encouraging people to follow it. And I will forever share it. So
thank you so much.
I appreciate you having me too.
Yes, you were like, this was so fun.
Yeah.
This was so perfect. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. All right. Well, I adore you, and we'll be in touch. Maybe we'll have a touch up. We'll catch up in the future. That'd be so awesome. All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.